My childhood friend always liked to swap the drink in my hand with one she had already drunk from. I warned her more than once not to do it again, but she did not listen. She only got worse. She even threatened me with a knife, forbidding me from getting too close to other girls. I thought I could escape her once I grew up, but I never expected that on the day I came of age, my bankrupt mother would sell me to her family. The moment I stepped into her home, the possessiveness she had suppressed for years exploded. She brazenly planted her pale bare foot on my face, then viciously stuffed a milk-scented sock into my mouth. She forced me to agree to be with her. At that moment, the girl was pointing a knife at me. Seeing that, I instinctively stepped back. Xiaoxi, calm down first. You're really scaring me. But she would not hear a word of it. She grabbed my arm and desperately dragged me into the bedroom. I struggled with all my strength, my feet kicking wildly against the floor, but I could not break free from her iron grip. Once inside the bedroom, she shoved me straight onto the bed. Then she began tearing at her own clothes like a madwoman, muttering over and over, "Brother Mu, we'll be together forever." In the days that followed, Xiaoxi became a different person. She no longer allowed me to leave, sealed every window in the house, and cut the phone line. I tried to talk her out of it, but she only grew more unhinged. "Brother Mu, the outside world is too dangerous. Only when you're with me are you truly safe." At that moment, I felt nothing but terror and despair. I had no idea how to escape this nightmare. Day after day passed, and I became increasingly restless. Xiaoxi's control over me grew stricter too. She even set times for when I ate and slept. One day, while she was not paying attention, I tried to escape through a window, but she still caught me. She charged over in a rage and violently shoved me to the floor. "Brother Mu, why are you doing this to me? Don't you love me anymore?" Her voice trembled with tears, her eyes full of despair and fury. I looked at her, feeling afraid and helpless. "Xiaoxi, this isn't love. You're hurting both of us." It was as if she had not heard me at all. She suddenly turned and went into the kitchen, where she took out a sharp knife. "Brother Mu, since you won't stay obediently by my side, then we'll both stay here forever." She waved the knife, closing in on me inch by inch. My heart hammered, my back pressed tight against the wall. There was nowhere left to run. Just as everything hung by a thread, a violent pounding suddenly sounded at the door. "Police, open up." A neighbor had noticed something was wrong and called the police. When Xiaoxi heard the police, she froze in place. I seized the chance, lunged forward, and wrested the knife from her hand. Right after that, the police broke through the door and restrained her in an instant. As they took her away, her eyes remained locked on me, and she murmured, "Brother Mu, everything I did was all for you." After that harrowing ordeal, I finally escaped her captivity. But whenever I remembered those dark days, I still shuddered with fear. After a period of recovery, I worked hard to get my life back on track. Yet, Xiaoxi's shadow often surfaced in my mind, a nightmare I could never shake. Until one day, I received a letter. The handwriting was so familiar that my heart sank. It was from Xiaoxi. "Brother Mu, I think of you every moment in here. I know I was wrong. Will you come see me?" I was immediately torn. On one hand, I was afraid of being caught in her madness again. On the other, I could not help wondering whether she truly understood her mistakes. In the end, I decided to see her through the glass. When I saw her, there was less of that old madness in her eyes, and more guilt and remorse. "Brother Mu, I'm sorry. I truly know I was wrong. I'm receiving treatment here, and I've slowly come to understand." Her eyes reddened, with tears welling inside. I was silent for a long time, unsure whether I should believe her. As the days passed, Xiaoxi's letters grew more sincere and gentle. Gradually, without realizing it, I let down my guard, until one day, I received word that Xiaoxi had been released early. My heart leaped into my throat again, not knowing what it meant. That evening, I came home from work. The moment I reached my door, I saw a familiar figure standing outside. It was Xiaoxi. She held a bouquet of flowers and gave me a small smile. "Brother Mu, I'm back. This time, I'm truly better." I hesitated, unsure whether to let her inside. Just then, she suddenly stepped forward and threw her arms around me. Her sudden embrace left me at a loss, my body frozen in place. "Brother Mu, believe me, I've truly changed." Her voice whispered in my ear. openly pleading. I slowly pushed her away and looked into her eyes, trying to spot even a trace of pretense. But all I saw was sincerity and expectation. All right, let's go inside and talk. In the end, my heart softened. Once inside, Lin Xiaoxi was unusually docile. She helped clean the house and cooked a lavish dinner. It all left me dazed, as though we had returned to those wonderful days when we were childhood friends. However, just as I began to let my guard down, I noticed she was always secretly watching my every move. At times, an eerie glint flashed in her eyes. One night, a faint sound woke me. When I opened my eyes, to my surprise, I saw Lin Xiaoxi standing beside my bed, holding a pair of scissors. Her expression, under the moonlight, looked especially sinister. I jolted upright in terror. Xiaoxi, what are you doing? She froze for a moment, then forced a strained smile. I saw your clothes were torn. I wanted to trim them for you. You expect me to believe that? I knew perfectly well. It was not that simple. From then on, I deliberately watched her every move. Before long, I discovered she was secretly gathering strange things, like rope and tape. Fear engulfed me again. Had she not changed at all? Was all of this nothing but an act? As I considered how to deal with it, Lin Xiaoxi seemed to notice my suspicions. Her behavior only grew stranger and more extreme. One day, I came home from work. The moment I entered, I froze. The house had been arranged like a sealed chamber. On every wall, countless photos of me hung everywhere, covering every inch. It made my skin crawl. At that moment, Lin Xiaoxi wore a white dress with exquisite makeup, smiling sweetly in the center of the room. Brother Mu, look, these are all our memories. I stared at it all in horror, then turned to run. But the door had already been deadbolted. Xiaoxi, what are you doing? Open the door, now, I shouted. She slowly walked toward me, her gaze feverish with obsession. Brother Mu, don't even think about leaving me. Never. This place is the world that belongs to us. As she spoke, she pulled out an iron chain and came toward me, as if she meant to chain me up. I fought desperately, but she shoved me hard to the floor. Why do you always want to leave me? Why? Her voice became shrill and crazed. While she was distracted, I snatched the chain from her hand, ready to fight back. But she suddenly broke down sobbing, crying her heart out. Brother Mu, everything I did was because I love you. I love you so much. I'm going insane. I looked at her, my heart filled with fear and helplessness. Just then, she seized the opening and lunged at me, locking me in another crushing embrace. Brother Mu, even if you hate me even more, I will never let go again. At that moment, I felt nothing but profound despair. I had no idea how to escape. This childhood friend completely consumed by madness. I struggled with all my strength, but found her strength was incredibly strong. Xiaoxi, let me go. What you're doing is against the law. I screamed myself hoarse, but it was as if she couldn't hear me at all. Her smile twisted into something grotesque. So what if it's against the law? As long as I can be with you, nothing else matters to me. Just then, my phone suddenly rang. Lin Xiaoxi's expression instantly darkened. She snatched my phone away and smashed it brutally against the floor. No one will interrupt us. Looking at my shattered phone, the fear inside me reached its peak. Was I really going to be trapped here forever? Suddenly, an idea came to me. I swallowed my fear and pretended to give in. Pressing my lips together, I said, Xiaoxi, I know you love me. Honestly, I don't want to leave you either. It's just that the way you're acting scares me a little. When she heard that, her expression softened somewhat. Brother Mu, as long as you're good and obey, I'll treat you very well. When she let down her guard a little, I slowly edged toward the window, trying to find a chance to call for help. But she noticed almost immediately. She rushed at me again, yanking me away from the window and dragging me by force into the corner. Brother Mu, you still want to leave me, don't you? Her voice was full of despair and rage. I hurriedly explained, No, Xiaoxi, I only wanted to look at the scenery outside. But she no longer believed me. Then, she took out a rope and swiftly tied me to a chair. Brother Mu, just stay here and be good. Stop thinking about running away. With that, she sat beside me, staring at me without blinking. Second by second, time passed. After being tied up for so long, my body slowly went numb. Yet her gaze never left me. Just as I was about to give up hope, a commotion suddenly erupted outside. Then, someone began battering the door. She sprang up in panic and shouted toward the door. "Who's there? Don't you dare destroy our world." With a thunderous crash, the door burst open. A group of police officers rushed in. "Release him now," the police shouted. She flailed wildly in resistance, but was quickly restrained. They untied me. I was so weak I could barely stand. Supported by the police, I finally walked out of that terrifying room. Sunlight fell across my face, but I couldn't feel even the slightest warmth. For a long time after I returned home, I still lived in fear, under the shadow of it all. Whenever night fell, Lin Xiaoxi's crazed eyes would surface in my mind. To escape that torment, I began seeing a therapist. With my therapist's help, I slowly returned to a relatively normal life. But just when I thought it was all behind me, one night, I received an anonymous letter. It contained only one sentence. "Brother Mu, I'll come back for you." My heart sank. Could Lin Xiaoxi still refuse to let me go? Fear engulfed my life again. A few days later, word came that Lin Xiaoxi had been released. It turned out she had pretended to be mentally stable and deeply remorseful. She fooled the doctors and police. When I learned all this, a chill ran down my spine. Once again, I sank into endless anguish and panic. One day, I was walking home alone when a hand suddenly yanked me into a dark alley. It was Lin Xiaoxi. Her eyes were even more crazed and obsessive than before. "Brother Mu, I told you, I'd come back for you. No one will ever tear us apart." She clung tightly to me with shocking strength, and I couldn't break free. I tried to persuade her to let me go, but she wouldn't listen at all. "Brother Mu, in your world, there can only be me. I'll keep you by my side forever." From then on, she watched me nearly every moment of every day. She would suddenly appear outside my office building. She would stay outside my door, crouching there all night. I didn't dare call the police again, because I knew the police had become increasingly numb to this case and no longer believed me as much. My life fell completely into darkness, trapped by my unhinged, possessive childhood sweetheart, who kept me tightly in her grip, with nowhere to escape. Amid endless fear and despair, I decided to obey her for now, while waiting for a chance to escape her for good. When I began acting obedient, Lin Xiaoxi was initially still somewhat suspicious, but when she saw me comply with her in everything, the smiles on her face gradually became more frequent. Her surveillance of me also eased somewhat. I went shopping and watched movies with her, doing what ordinary couples would do. But inside, I was filled with torment and unease. One day, Lin Xiaoxi said she wanted to take me somewhere special. It was a remote, abandoned factory, eerie and dilapidated. The air reeked of dampness and mold. "Brother Mu, from now on, this place will be our secret hideout for us alone." She took my hand, her eyes shining with near pathological excitement. I forced down my unease and fear and followed her into a dark corner deep within the factory. I didn't know what would happen next. I only knew I had to stay calm and wait for a chance to escape. When we reached the very back, Lin Xiaoxi suddenly stopped. She turned and held me tightly. "Brother Mu, do you know, here, no one can disturb us." Her voice echoed through the empty factory, sounding especially chilling. I forced a faint smile. "Yes, Xiaoxi." Then, she reached into her pocket and pulled out a key, unlocking a small room beside us. The room was filled with all kinds of things, photos of me, items I had used, and even tools clearly meant to restrain someone. My heart dropped. My unease was instantly magnified beyond measure. She pulled me over and had us sit together on a battered old chair. Eagerly, she began telling me about the countless mad plans she'd designed for our future. "Brother Mu, from now on, we'll live here and never be apart. I'll cook delicious meals for you every day and join you in anything you want to do." As I listened, I nodded along while frantically calculating how to escape. A few more days passed. She seemed to fully believe in my obedience. Her guard against me was completely lowered. Once, she went out to find food and actually forgot to lock the door. This was the chance I'd been desperately waiting for. Without hesitation, I rushed out of the room and ran for my life. I hadn't gone far when From behind me came her furious, hysterical scream. Brother Mo, you lied to me. My heart clenched, but I didn't dare look back. I just kept charging forward. The weed-choked path kept tearing at my pants and clothes. Muddy water beneath my feet splashed everywhere, but none of that mattered. Not until I heard her shouts fading farther away. Did I finally feel a flicker of hope? Finally, I burst out of the wasteland and reached a highway. Just then, a taxi drove toward me in the distance. I hurriedly waved it down. Driver, go, now. The driver looked at me and saw how panicked I was and asked no questions. He floored the gas pedal and the taxi sped away. In the back seat, I gasped for air, my heart still pounding violently. I looked back, making sure no one had caught up to me. Only then did I breathe a little easier. After returning to the city, I found a small motel and stayed there temporarily. I didn't dare go home or contact anyone, afraid I would expose my whereabouts again. In my motel room, I curled up in a corner. Over and over, I saw Xiaoxi's utterly twisted face in my mind. I didn't know when this nightmare would ever end. For several days, I barely stepped outside. Every day, I was tormented by anxiety and fear. But as the days passed, there was still no word of Xiaoxi. My nerves eased slightly. I began considering what to do with the rest of my life. I knew I couldn't keep hiding forever. I had to start my life over. So, I gathered my courage and looked for work, hoping to rejoin normal society. After some effort, I found work at a small company. It was a simple job. My co-workers treated me well, and the workplace was fairly peaceful. I tried to make myself focus my attention on my work, trying to forget that nightmare experience. But whenever the night grew quiet, I couldn't help thinking of Xiaoxi. I always worried that one day she would once again silently invade my life. One day after work, I was walking home as usual. As I walked, I suddenly felt someone watching me. My heart began racing. The first name that sprang to mind was Xiaoxi. Instinctively, I quickened my pace, trying to shake that oppressive feeling of being watched. But no matter how fast I walked, the feeling followed me like a shadow, like an icy hand, clamped tightly around the back of my neck. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I spun around and looked. A dark figure darted into the narrow alley beside me. My heart leaped into my throat. After hesitating for a long time, I gritted my teeth and decided to enter the alley to find out. The alley was dark and damp. The air stank of mold and garbage. I cautiously walked deeper inside. My footsteps rang unnaturally clear in the cramped space. Suddenly, low, heavy breathing came from the shadows ahead. "Who's there?" I asked nervously. Then, a ragged man with long, matted hair swayed to his feet from the corner. His eyes were cloudy and unfocused. He looked deeply unstable. Don't come any closer." I backed away warily. He mumbled words I couldn't understand. His steps were unsteady, yet he kept closing in on me, step by step. Just as I was about to turn and run, he suddenly stumbled and crashed heavily to the ground, groaning in pain. Instinctively, I stopped. A wave of hesitation and pity rose within me. In the end, I walked over to see how he was, but unexpectedly, the instant I drew near, he lunged out and seized my ankle. His grip was shockingly strong. "Save him," he slurred. It took all my strength to wrench free. I fled the alley in a blind panic. After I got home, I couldn't calm down for a long time. I could only picture that man on the ground, gripping my ankle. What had happened to him? Over the next few days, I remained deeply unsettled. The image of that man curled up in a dark corner wouldn't leave my mind. To shake off that shadow, I decided to ask around about him. I questioned the nearby residents and learned that he was a homeless man from the neighborhood. He had been mentally unstable for some time. Some said he had survived a terrible accident. Others said he'd suffered a devastating emotional blow, which had turned him into this. As for the truth, no one knew. One day, on my way home from work, I passed that alley again and saw him there once more. He was curled up in a corner, hugging his knees and shivering violently. He looked cold and hungry. My heart softened. I went to a nearby shop, bought some food and water, then returned and handed them to him. He looked up at me. A flicker of lucid gratitude crossed his eyes, but confusion and fear quickly replaced it. Thank you. But I can't control myself. His voice trembled, his words broken and halting. After that, I occasionally brought him supplies. Things like biscuits, bottled water, and old clothes. Gradually, he stopped being so guarded around me. Sometimes we could even exchange a few words. But in those eyes, an inescapable terror always lingered. However, one evening, when I came home, I found a letter at my door. The envelope was dirty and crumpled, with crooked handwriting across it. Leave this place, or you'll regret it. My heart suddenly clenched. This letter, had the homeless man left it? Or was it someone else? Could it be Xiaoxi? Or was some other unknown danger slowly closing in? Clutching the letter, I stood at the door for a long time, my mind filled with questions. Just then, a familiar figure appeared at the street corner. It was Xiaoxi. She wore a white dress, her face unnaturally pale. Her eyes still held that familiar madness and obsession. Brother Mu, I knew you could never escape my grasp. Her lips curled upward, forming a cold smile. As she walked toward me, step by step, my heartbeat instantly spiraled out of control. Fear flooded over me again. Xiaoxi, please let me go. I cried out in near despair. But she wouldn't listen. She came up to me and reached out to grab me. Brother Mu, come with me. This is our destiny. Just as her hand was about to touch me, a figure suddenly rushed in from the side and stepped in front of me. It was the homeless man. You won't hurt him, the homeless man roared, standing between Xiaoxi and me. Caught off guard by this, Xiaoxi froze for a moment, then flew into a rage from humiliation. You lunatic, get out of my way. But the homeless man stood protectively in front of me, refusing to yield an inch. The street fell into a tense standoff. My throat went dry with fear. I had no idea what would happen next. The next second, Xiaoxi lunged forward, trying to shove the homeless man aside. He refused to back down. The two began grappling. Their movements were wild and violent. I stood to one side, utterly panicked, not knowing whom to help or how. Suddenly, Xiaoxi spotted an opening and violently shoved the homeless man to the ground. He crashed down hard. Before he could get back up, Xiaoxi seized the chance to lunge at me again, clamping onto my arm, her grip strong enough to hurt. Brother Mu, come with me, she said, yanking me with all her strength. Just then, the homeless man on the ground forced himself back to his feet. From behind, he locked his arms around Xiaoxi, desperately holding her back, so she couldn't take another step toward me. Run, he bellowed at me. I didn't dare hesitate any longer. I turned and sprinted away. After running some distance, I hid in a dark corner, gasping for air, my heart pounding wildly. I didn't know how the homeless man was, nor did I know whether Xiaoxi would come after me. After a long while, everything around me was still silent. Carefully, I made my way back to where it happened, only to find the place completely deserted. The homeless man was gone. Xiaoxi was gone too. Full of unease and questions, I searched everywhere for signs of them, but found nothing. Countless terrifying thoughts flashed through my mind. What if Xiaoxi broke free of the homeless man and silently came after me again? What if the homeless man, because he helped me, had met with some terrible fate? Fear was nearly crushing me. I couldn't think about anything else. Right then, I had only one thought: run. Run now. Get as far away as possible. Away from this nightmare-filled place. Away from Xiaoxi's control. I turned and raced in the opposite direction. All I heard was the howling wind and my own ragged breathing. I ran for my life until my legs went weak and my lungs burned like fire. Only then did I have to stop. That was when I realized I had run into a completely unfamiliar place. Narrow streets and dilapidated houses surrounded me. It was deserted, with an eerie stillness in the air. This place made me uneasy, but compared to being found by Xiaoxi, that unease was nothing. I struggled to steady my breathing and looked around, searching for somewhere to hide temporarily. Just then, I heard footsteps in that silent place. They sounded especially clear. Every step seemed to land on my heart. My heartbeat began racing again. I stared toward the sound, my body instinctively taking 2 steps back. Had Xiaoxi caught up with me? Or was it that mysterious homeless man? Or perhaps some other danger? My back pressed tightly against the icy wall. Cold sweat streamed down my forehead. My mind went blank. The footsteps drew closer. My heart nearly leaped from my chest. Finally, a figure appeared around the corner. It was the homeless man. He looked utterly exhausted. His clothes were even dirtier and more disheveled than before. But when he saw me, a flicker of lucid concern crossed his eyes. "Come with me. She won't find this place for now," the homeless man said quietly. I hesitated for a moment, but at that moment, I had no better choice. So, I followed him into a rundown shack. It was dark and damp inside. Trash was piled in the corners, and the stench of rot hit me head-on. The homeless man found a place to sit and gestured for me to sit too. "Why are you helping me?" I couldn't help asking. He was silent for a while, then slowly spoke. "Because I have also suffered the pain of being tormented by a crazed obsession." His words caught me off guard. I was full of questions and was about to ask more when suddenly, from outside, came a burst of commotion. "She may have come looking for us." The homeless man sprang to his feet, his expression tense. My heart rose into my throat again. I didn't know if this time I could escape Xiaoxi again. The homeless man grabbed me and led me to a corner piled with clutter, signaling for me not to make a sound. The footsteps outside crept closer and closer. My heart pounded as if it might burst. The next second, the footsteps stopped at the door. "Brother Mo, I know you're in there. Come out now." Xiaoxi's voice drifted coldly into the shack, carrying an unyielding madness. The homeless man immediately covered my mouth, afraid I would make even the slightest sound. Time seemed to stretch on. Every second felt like walking on a knife's edge. After a while, it gradually fell quiet outside. The homeless man cautiously peeked outside, then let out a soft breath. "She's gone for now, but she'll definitely return. We need to get out of here fast." With that, he led me through a maze of twisting alleys. After walking for who knows how long, we finally reached an abandoned warehouse. "We'll hide here tonight," said the homeless man. I nodded, exhausted in body and mind. I sat down against the wall. The night wind rushed through the broken windows, carrying a faint chill. I stared into the warehouse's dark corners. My heart was full of confusion and fear. I didn't know how long this life would continue. That night, the homeless man and I sat back to back, neither of us daring to truly fall asleep. The darkness around us seemed to conceal countless dangers. The slightest sound could leave every nerve in my body taut. "Tell me, can we really escape her?" I broke the silence, my voice full of helplessness. The homeless man was silent for a long while, before slowly saying, "As long as we don't give up, we'll find a way." After who knows how long, sleepiness finally overcame my tension. I drifted off in a daze. When I woke again, day had already broken. I instinctively looked around, only to find the homeless man gone. My heart suddenly sank. A bad feeling crept over me. I hurried to my feet and searched the warehouse for him, calling his name as I shoved aside the clutter blocking my way. But no matter how loudly I called, there was no answer. Just as panic overwhelmed me, the warehouse's iron door creaked open. I turned and Xiaoxi walked in. Her face wore a smug, twisted smile. "Brother Mo, did you think that homeless man could save you?" I staggered back in terror, my voice trembling. "What did you do to him? He overestimated himself. I've made him disappear forever." Her tone was casual, as though she were discussing something trivial. My heart plunged into the abyss. Anger and despair surged through me at once. "Xiaoxi, you're completely insane." But she did not care about my accusation at all. Her smile only grew more twisted. "Brother Mo, now no one can ever separate us again." With that, she lunged forward and grabbed my arm. With a hard yank, she dragged me out of the warehouse. Along the way, I tried to plead for help with my eyes, but whenever I opened my mouth, I could feel Xiaoxi's murderous glare, those faint cries for help. I swallowed them back down. And so, I was taken back once more to that familiar, terrifying place. With a loud bang, the door slammed shut. I was trapped once again in this endless nightmare. "Brother Mo, stop thinking about running away. It's all pointless," Xiaoxi said coldly. I collapsed helplessly in the corner, my eyes empty, all hope gone. Meanwhile, she sat nearby, staring at me without blinking, afraid I would vanish from her sight again. Time seemed to lose all meaning. Every minute, every second, was torture. Suddenly, Xiaoxi's phone rang. She answered it. Her face gradually darkened. "Brother Mo, I need to go out and take care of something. You'd better stay here and behave. Don't try any tricks." With that, she shot me a vicious glare, slammed the door, and strode away. I listened to her footsteps gradually fade away. Hope flickered in me again. Maybe this was my chance to escape again. But I worried. She might come back at any moment. After hesitating again and again, I decided to take the chance. I quietly crept to the door and gently turned the handle. Click. To my surprise, the door wasn't locked. I cautiously peeked out, making sure she was not in the hallway, then took off at a sprint. But I had barely gone far when I heard behind me Xiaoxi's hysterical scream. Brother Mo, you're trying to run away again. My heart clenched. I instinctively ran faster. But before I got very far, I heard the roar of a motorcycle engine starting. I glanced back. Somehow, Xiaoxi had gotten a motorcycle and was speeding toward me. Before long, she raced ahead of me and swung the motorcycle across the road, blocking my path. Brother Mo, why can't you just behave? She jumped off the bike and charged over, grabbing me by the collar. Her eyes held anger and despair. Tears brimmed in them, and her voice was nearly hoarse. I've done so much for you. Yet again and again, you want to leave me. With that, she pulled a dagger from her pocket and pressed it to my throat. Come back with me, or we'll die together. Her face twisted completely. She had utterly lost her mind. I trembled all over in terror, not daring to think of resisting again. Honey, I'll go back with you. Please don't do anything rash. My voice shook, my eyes full of fear and helplessness. At the word honey, her expression softened slightly, but the hand holding the dagger did not loosen. Honey, if you just behaved like this sooner, wouldn't everything have been fine? She pulled me back, clutching my arm tightly the entire way, afraid I would disappear from her sight again. When we returned home, she shoved me into the room and locked the door with a click. Honey, stay here and be good. Don't even think about going anywhere. She sat beside the bed, her gaze fixed firmly on me. I did not dare move carelessly. I could only play along cautiously. All right, honey, I'll do whatever you say. But inside, I was frantically calculating what to do next. She slowly leaned into my arms, a satisfied smile on her face, but deep in her eyes, wariness and unease still lingered. Honey, from now on we'll always be like this, never apart, she murmured. I gently patted her back. All right, honey. After a while, she seemed to truly relax. She stood and said, Honey, I'll make you something to eat. Then she walked out of the room. Soon, the clatter of pots and dishes came from the kitchen. I stared at the tightly shut door, thinking to myself, maybe this was another chance. I quietly went to the window and tried to open it, but found she had already sealed it shut with nails and boards. Just as I stood there, frantic and at a loss, her voice suddenly came from the kitchen. Honey, don't move around, or I can't promise what I might do. My heart immediately sank. I had no choice but to sit beside the bed again. Before long, she came in carrying food. Honey, come eat. She set the food on the table, her eyes never leaving me. I walked over and mechanically picked up the bowl and chopsticks, eating bite by bite, unable to taste a thing. Night fell, and the room went dark. As usual, she held me tightly and gradually fell asleep. I lay beside her, my heart pounding like a drum, waiting for her breathing to become completely steady. After who knew how long, I finally concluded she must be sound asleep. Carefully, I slipped out of her embrace, holding my breath as I stood by the faint moonlight outside. I crept to the door and gently turned the handle. Creak. The door made a faint sound. My heart clenched. I looked back toward the bed. Xiaoxi's eyes remained closed. She did not seem to have been awakened. I slowly pushed open the door and silently slipped out of the room. The air outside was cool. The hallway was pitch black, with only a faint glow in the distance. I did not dare linger and jogged toward the exit I remembered. Suddenly, behind me rose a heart-wrenching scream. Brother Mo, you tricked me again. My steps completely faltered, driven by fear. I charged wildly forward. The darkness around me was like a beast with its jaws wide open, ready to swallow me whole at any moment. I ran forward without a thought for anything else. All I could hear was my own ragged breathing and heavy footsteps. Xiaoxi's shouts gradually faded away. Only then did a glimmer of hope slowly rise in my heart. After running for who knew how long, I finally saw ahead a faint light. It was a road leading to the outside world. I clenched my teeth and summoned my last bit of strength, charging toward that light. When I burst out of that darkness and stepped onto the brightly lit street, I felt completely drained in an instant and collapsed onto the ground. I did not dare stay long. Forcing myself to stand, I hailed a taxi and hurriedly gave an address I did not know at all, telling the driver to take me away from that place. In the taxi, I watched through the window as the streets raced past. Over and over, I silently swore I would never again return to that nightmare-filled place. When we reached an unfamiliar part of town, I got out. I found a small inn nearby and settled in temporarily once more. Over the next few days, I remained in a state of constant tension. Even the slightest sound would startle me awake from sleep. I did not know when all this would truly end. At night, nightmares often jolted me awake, my body drenched in sweat. But I knew full well, no matter what, I had to start my life over. Later, I found a simple job. It was hard, but at least it made me feel more grounded, giving me the reassurance of living in the real world. However, one day after work, on my way home, that familiar unease crept back into my heart. I kept feeling that someone was following me. My heart leaped into my throat again. Could Lin Xiaoxi have found me again? Instinctively, I quickened my pace, trying to shake the feeling of being watched. Just then, a hand suddenly landed on my shoulder. I jolted in fright, spinning around on pure reflex. Standing behind me was a stranger. "Your brother Mu, right?" he asked, staring at me. One immediately went on guard, watching him closely. "Who are you?" He smiled and waved a hand. "Relax. Someone asked me to give you a message." My heart shot into my throat. "What message?" he said. "No matter where you run, she will find you." At those words, all color drained from my face. Could it be that I could never escape Lin Xiaoxi's obsession? I forcibly suppressed my panic and pretended to be calm as I told the man, "Go back and tell him to stop bothering me." The moment I finished speaking, despair spread through my heart like black fog. Just then, a familiar voice sounded nearby. "Brother Mu." I turned around. It was my good friend, Lindsay. The instant I saw him, it was like a lifeline. Lindsay hurried over. When he saw my panic-stricken state, he frowned deeply. "What's wrong? What happened?" It felt as though I had finally found someone I could confide in. I told him everything that had happened lately. Lin Xiaoxi, running away, being chased, the fear. I poured it all out at once. After Lindsay heard me out, his frown deepened. He thought for a moment before speaking. "Don't be afraid. I'll help you figure something out." Just then, the stranger gave a cold sneer, then turned and left. Lindsay and I exchanged a look, both of us filled with unease. Lindsay took me to his home, comforting me the whole way. "Brother Mu, don't worry too much. We'll figure it out together. We'll definitely solve this." At his house, I sat on the sofa, my heart still heavy. Lindsay poured me a glass of water, sat beside me, and said, "How about we call the police first?" I hesitated. Would calling the police help? I'm afraid Lin Xiaoxi will do something even crazier. As we discussed it, suddenly, rapid knocking sounded at the door. Knock, knock, knock. We looked at each other, and both our hearts sank. Lindsay cautiously approached the door and looked through the peephole. His face immediately darkened. "It's Lin Xiaoxi," he said in a low voice. My heart instantly sank to the depths. Lindsay took a deep breath, then turned to me and said, "Brother Mu, go hide in the bedroom." I hurried to my feet, ran into the bedroom, and shut the door. But my heart was in my throat. Lin Xiaoxi's voice came from outside. "Lindsay, I know Brother Mu isn't there with you. Get him out here now." Lindsay answered, "Xiaoxi, don't do anything reckless. Whatever it is, let's talk it out." Lin Xiaoxi sneered. "Talk it out? He's run away from me again and again. What's left to talk about?" A brief silence followed. Then a fierce argument erupted. I paced anxiously in the bedroom, with no idea how things would unfold outside. Suddenly, the bedroom door burst open. With a loud bang, Lin Xiaoxi charged inside. "Brother Mu, you won't get away this time." Her eyes blazed with rage and determination. I instinctively backed away, retreating step by step until I hit the wall. At that moment, Lindsay followed her into the bedroom, placing himself in front of me. He told her, "Lin Xiaoxi, what you're doing is wrong. You can't force Brother Mu to be with you." Lin Xiaoxi glared at him viciously. "This is between us. Stay out of it." But Lindsay did not back down. "I won't stand by and watch you hurt him like this. Brother Mu is my friend. I have to help him. Lin Xiaoxi gave a cold laugh. You think you can stop me? With that, she suddenly pulled a knife from her bag and rushed at us, waving it. Lindsay instinctively stepped forward and grabbed her wrist. They immediately began to struggle. In the chaos, there came a scream of agony. The blade slashed Lindsay's arm, and blood began to flow. Lindsay, I cried out. Just then, the piercing wail of police sirens sounded in the distance. Woo, woo, woo. Lin Xiaoxi's face went deathly pale. She froze. The knife in her hand clattered to the floor. Moments later, the police rushed in and quickly restrained her. Lindsay and I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Then we went with the police to give our statements. After leaving the police station, the huge weight crushing my heart finally eased a little. Lindsay, I really owe you this time. I looked at him, filled with gratitude. Lindsay patted my shoulder. We're friends. It's what friends do. But you need to be more careful from now on. The days passed. I tried desperately to get my life back on track, but Lin Xiaoxi's crazed eyes still surfaced in my mind from time to time, leaving me shaken. Until one day, I received a letter. When I opened it, it was unexpectedly from Lin Xiaoxi. Brother Mu, I know I was wrong. I'll work hard to reform. When I get out, I hope you'll give me a chance to start over. I held the letter tightly, lost in thought. Every moment we'd shared rose before my eyes. Those fleeting moments of sweetness and warmth made my heart stir. Awakening an indescribable hesitation, I began asking myself, could Lin Xiaoxi really change? Maybe everyone deserves one chance to start over. That thought in my mind grew stronger and stronger. It even made me imagine, if she really changed, what would our future be like? But when I thought of the terrifying, insane things she'd done, fear gripped me again. What if this was all just another one of her tricks? As I wrestled with myself, Lindsay came to see me. Brother Mu, I heard you got a letter from Lin Xiaoxi. You don't really believe she can change, do you? He looked at me with deep concern. I sighed helplessly. I don't know either. I'm completely torn. Lindsay gripped my shoulders, his tone grave. Don't be foolish. Hasn't all the harm she caused you before been enough? I lowered my head and remained silent for a long time. In the end, I still made that decision to give Lin Xiaoxi another chance. I bailed her out of the police station. The moment she walked out, she looked at me, her eyes full of gratitude and guilt. Brother Mu, thank you for being willing to believe in me. Her voice trembled slightly. I looked her straight in the eye and said slowly, I hope this time you truly can change. After we got home, Lin Xiaoxi's behavior really was different from before. She became gentle and attentive, putting me first in everything. She carefully tended to all my daily needs, as if afraid of disappointing me again. However, I could never shake the knot in my heart, nor could I let go of my guard against her. One day, I came home from work. The moment I entered, I saw the table covered in dishes. Brother Mu, you've worked so hard lately. Come taste what I made, she said with a smile, her eyes filled with cautious hope. Just as I was about to sit down, my phone suddenly vibrated. A text from an unknown number popped up. Xiaoxi, she hasn't changed. My heart leaped into my throat again. Without giving anything away, I looked up at Lin Xiaoxi. She was watching me expectantly. Come on, try it. They're all your favorites. I forced a faint smile, picked up my chopsticks and took a few bites. Well, is it good? It's good, I answered casually, but that text never left my mind. After dinner, I said I was tired and returned to my room. Sitting on the edge of the bed, I began wondering who had sent that text. Could it have been Lindsay? But if it really was him, why hadn't he told me directly? Or was it that someone else knew about Lin Xiaoxi's past? As my thoughts ran wild, there was a gentle knock at the door. Brother Mu, I've run you a hot bath. Go soak and relax. Lin Xiaoxi pushed the door open and came in, her voice as gentle as ever. I looked at her, but the unease in my heart grew heavier. Still, I forced myself to pull it together and smiled at her. Thanks, you should get some rest too. She nodded and turned to leave the room. Over the next few days, on the surface, I acted as though everything was normal. But secretly, I watched her every move. Every day, she carefully prepared our meals, kept the house spotless, and cared for me in every way. Yet I always felt, beneath this peaceful life, something dark was hiding. One day, I got off work early and came home, only to find the house completely empty. My heart tightened at once. Where had she gone? Just as I was about to go look for her, footsteps sounded outside the door. I quickly sat down on the couch, grabbed the remote, and pretended to watch television. Lin Xiaoxi walked in. She clearly froze when she saw me, a flicker of panic crossing her face. But she quickly returned to normal. Why are you home so early today? There wasn't much going on at work, so I got off early. I tried to make my voice sound natural. The days continued in that seemingly peaceful atmosphere, but my watch over her never stopped. Finally, one day, when she went out, I secretly followed her. She took a winding route, eventually arriving at a villa on the outskirts of town. My heart sank. My instincts told me something was definitely wrong here. I crouched low and crept closer. Peering through the window, I saw Lin Xiaoxi with an unfamiliar man, arguing fiercely. I've done exactly what you told me. Why won't you leave me alone? Her voice was full of rage and fear. That isn't up to you? The man gave a cold sneer, his tone dark. It's not that simple. Hearing that, my head started buzzing. I froze completely. So, behind Lin Xiaoxi, there was so much I didn't know. Just then, Lin Xiaoxi suddenly turned her head and looked toward the window. My heart jolted. I quickly ducked aside and hid. I took several deep breaths and forced down my chaotic emotions. In the end, I decided to go home first and figure things out later. On the way home, my feet felt heavy as lead. My thoughts were a tangled mess. Over and over, my mind replayed what I had seen at the villa. After I got home, I was on edge. Every time I moved, it felt like needles were pricking me. My mind remained filled with the image of her arguing with that man. I couldn't calm down at all. When Lin Xiaoxi came back, I forced myself to wear a normal expression, pretending I knew nothing. But even I could feel that this act was fragile enough to shatter at a touch. How was your day? She asked as usual. Same as always, I said flatly, trying to keep my voice steady. Yet even I could hear the stiffness in it. That night, I lay in bed, as if I were under a curse, tossing and turning, unable to sleep. Beside me was Lin Xiaoxi's steady breathing. But to me, that breathing sounded more like a warning of danger. I didn't know whether I should trust her again. This person I once knew so well now felt like a complete stranger. It was as if I were trapped in a dark maze with no exit. No matter which way I turned, I found only dead ends. The next day, I could no longer bear the torment. I decided to talk it over with Lindsay. When I saw him, I was so anxious, I could barely get the words out. Lindsay, I saw Xiaoxi go to a villa outside town and argue with a strange man. I keep feeling they are hiding some terrible secret. Lindsay furrowed his brow, his eyes full of concern. This is a problem. So, what are you going to do? Just then, my phone suddenly rang. The screen showed Lin Xiaoxi. Brother Mu, I need to talk to you. Her voice sounded utterly exhausted, as if she had just endured a long, grueling battle. I don't have time right now. I rejected her almost without thinking. The scene at the villa flashed through my mind again and again, leaving me unable to face her calmly. I was also torn over what she might be hiding, unable to stop agonizing over it. Silence hung on the other end of the line, as though time itself had stopped. After a long while, she finally said softly, "All right, then. We'll talk when you have time." After I hung up, I told Lindsay every detail of what had happened. He thought for a moment, then said, "No matter what, you need to get to the bottom of this. Why not ignore her for a few days and see how she reacts?" Over the next few days, Lin Xiaoxi kept calling and texting me. My ringtone and message alerts were almost nonstop. But as I looked at those incoming calls and messages, I struggled with myself again and again, yet ultimately chose to stay silent. Until one day, she suddenly appeared before me. Her eyes were red and swollen, as if she had been crying for hours. Faint dark circles ringed her eyes, and she looked utterly worn down. "Brother Mu, please, let me explain." Her voice was pleading, like a wounded little animal. I looked at her, my heart pulled in every direction. After hesitating for a moment, I finally nodded. "Go ahead." Lin Xiaoxi took a deep breath, as if gathering every ounce of courage, then slowly began. "That man is my dad. He has some money, but he has always been extremely strict with me. I made a lot of mistakes before and made him furious. So he cut off my financial support and threatened me in all kinds of ways. Many of the crazy things I did before happened because I was driven into a corner. That's why I became that way. My eyes widened. I never expected that this was the reason. Then why didn't you tell me sooner? I couldn't stop myself from asking. Feeling both shocked and hurt, she lowered her head, her voice barely audible. I was afraid you'd look down on me and think I was just someone who could only depend on her family. Seeing how pitiful she looked, half my guard melted away in an instant. All right, I'll forgive you one more time. But from now on, don't you dare hide anything from me again, I said with a helpless sigh. In Lin Xiaoxi's eyes, a clear flash of delight appeared, as if, in the darkness, she had suddenly seen a ray of light. She nodded repeatedly. I promise, I won't do it again. From then on, she truly seemed like a changed person. She was no longer willful or reckless, nor was she hysterical anymore. Our lives gradually returned to peace, as if all the turmoil before had been nothing but an overly long nightmare. However, the peace did not last. One day, I ran into that so-called father on the street. The way he looked at me was vicious and cold, like a hungry wolf eyeing its prey. Kid, stay away from my daughter. If she's with you, it won't end well. I froze. A flood of questions rose in my mind. What do you mean by that? Xiaoxi already explained everything to me, I asked with a frown. He gave a cold laugh, full of contempt. Explained, she was only playing the victim to fool you. She has not changed at all. My heart sank. Instinctively, I refused to believe him. That's impossible. I've seen her change. It was all an act for your sake, he said coldly. She only did it to get money from me. So, she deliberately made up with you. His words were like a sharp blade, stabbing my heart. Again and again, I stumbled home in a daze and saw Lin Xiaoxi busy cooking in the kitchen. She wore a happy smile, as if nothing had happened. But now, that smile was unbearably painful to look at. I was deeply torn, unsure whether to believe what her father had said. Just then, my phone rang. It was a text message. It was from Lin Xiaoxi's father. Kid, run now. The moment I read those words, an icy chill shot up my spine, to the back of my neck, as if an invisible hand had clamped tightly around my throat. I instinctively looked toward the kitchen. Lin Xiaoxi carried over the dishes, walking lightly toward me, her eyes full of tenderness. Dinner's ready. Come taste it, she said with a smile, a hint of cheer in her voice. I tried my best to act like nothing was wrong, forcing out a smile, then walked over and sat down to eat. But inside, that text message weighed heavily on me. Every bite was like chewing wax, impossible to swallow, heavy as lead. After dinner, she went to wash the dishes. I sat on the sofa, my thoughts a tangled mess. Every thought twisted and churned in my mind, but I could make no sense of them. Suddenly, her phone rang. She dried her hands and answered it. I could not see her expression, but I could clearly hear her tone turn colder by the second. After she hung up, she slowly turned around. At that moment, her face had gone dark as ink. Her eyes had turned cold and unfamiliar, as if she had suddenly become someone else. Brother Mo, she stared at me, the corner of her lips lifting into an unreadable smile. Then she slowly said, I thought I could keep this up and fool you forever, but it seems I can't anymore. Her voice was bone-chillingly cold, and I shuddered instinctively. I looked at her in terror, my heart full of confusion and fear. Lin Xiaoxi, what are you talking about? Lin Xiaoxi let out a cold laugh. Her smile was sinister and strange, enough to make my scalp crawl. Stop pretending. She narrowed her eyes, her voice dripping with mockery. Don't you already know who I really am? I stood up, trembling, even my voice shaking. Lin Xiaoxi, don't do anything crazy. She advanced on me step by step, her eyes filled with madness and obsession. She looked like she was possessed by a demon. Crazy. She bit out the word, her voice suddenly rising. I've sacrificed so much for you, and all you want is to leave me. With that, she grabbed a vase from the table and smashed it hard against the floor. Bang! Glass shards flew everywhere, especially piercing in the silent room. Lin Xiaoxi, calm down, I shouted, trying to bring back her last shred of reason. But by then, she had completely lost control. I did not dare hesitate any longer. I spun around and raced desperately for the door. Behind me, Xiaoxi's hysterical screams nearly tore my eardrums apart. Her hurried footsteps followed, right on my heels. My heart raced, as if it might burst from my chest. With every step, it felt like I was running along a cliff's edge. Consumed by fear and despair, I burst out of the building and ran into the street. I no longer cared how I looked. I just kept sprinting, looking back as I ran, afraid Xiaoxi would appear behind me any second. Suddenly, a car slammed on its brakes right in front of me. The shriek of brakes nearly deafened me. The driver leaned out and cursed at me, but I did not stop to apologize. Like a startled bird, I darted around the car and kept running. I do not know how long I ran. I was gasping for breath. My legs felt filled with lead, too heavy to lift. Once I was sure Xiaoxi was nowhere in sight, I ducked into an alley in a panic. I leaned against the cold wall, gasping for air. My heart was still pounding wildly, as if it would leap out of my throat. Fear and despair slowly drowned me like a rising tide. I did not know where else I could go, or whether Xiaoxi was still searching everywhere for me. After I calmed down a little, I decided to find somewhere to hide for the time being. Carefully, I moved through the alleyways, my eyes nervously sweeping the surroundings, searching for a secluded enough corner. Finally, I found an abandoned warehouse. Its iron door stood half open, as if silently beckoning me inside. I gently pushed the door open. A stale, moldy smell immediately hit me in the face. The air inside was thick with a cold, decaying atmosphere. In a corner, I found a spot, piled high with junk. I crouched down, trying to hide myself in the shadows. Like a wounded beast, I hid in the darkness, trembling. My heart pounded so hard, it seemed to thunder in my ears. I strained to hear what was happening outside. The slightest sound was enough to make my nerves snap taut, as if the next second, Xiaoxi would push through the door. Through the torment, time crawled by, second by second. Yet outside, there was never any sign of her. My taut nerves eased slightly. I began to think about what to do next. I took out my phone. The screen showed only a pitiful sliver of battery. I hesitated. Should I call for help? But what if she could track me through the signal? As I wrestled with the decision, suddenly from outside the warehouse came the sound of footsteps in the silent alley. Those footsteps were painfully clear, each step landing squarely on my heart. My heart leapt into my throat again, nearly stopping altogether. The footsteps drew closer and closer. In my panic, I slipped into a rusted metal cabinet nearby. The cabinet reeked of foul rust. The space was cramped and narrow, almost suffocating me. I curled up inside, keeping even my breathing shallow. I did not dare make a sound. At that moment, I was like prey trapped in a cage. Then, Xiaoxi's footsteps echoed through the warehouse. The empty space amplified every footstep, exceptionally clear, like heavy hammers striking my chest. Moo. Her voice drifted through the room, tinged with cold amusement. I know you're in here. Stop hiding. That voice seemed to rise from the depths of hell, sending chills down my spine. I clamped a hand over my mouth, struggling to suppress my ragged breathing. My heart in my chest was hammering wildly. Even the sound of blood rushing was terrifyingly clear. Suddenly, her footsteps stopped before the metal cabinet. My heart felt as though someone had clenched it tight, ready to burst. Time seemed to freeze in that instant. Creak. The metal cabinet door was slowly pulled open. Her eyes and mine met at the same instant. In her eyes, an almost pathological excitement gleamed, as though she had found the most precious prey. The corners of her mouth lifted slightly, forming a strange smile. Ha ha, moo. I knew you were here. Her laughter echoed through the warehouse, cold and piercing. I closed my eyes in despair. Only one thought filled my mind. It's over. Fear, like raging waves, swallowed me whole. Xiaoxi grabbed me and yanked me out of the metal cabinet. She clutched me fiercely. Her grip was so strong, it nearly crushed my bones. In that moment, I even felt as though she would forcefully crush me into herself. Don't ever think of leaving me again. Never. She shrieked in my ear, her voice sharp and crazed. I could not take it anymore. My survival instinct gave me every ounce of strength I had. Xiaoxi, let me go. I roared, shoving her away with all my strength, while my legs struggled wildly. My resistance completely enraged her. Her expression twisted into a savage snarl, like a furious beast. "How dare you resist me?" She suddenly raised her hand and swung at my face. I dodged sideways and shoved her hard. Xiaoxi staggered, nearly falling to the ground. "Moo, you've disappointed me so much," she snarled through clenched teeth, lunging at me again. Her eyes were filled with anger and resentment. Before she regained her footing, I spun around and raced for the warehouse door. Behind me, her frantic screams grew louder and louder, but this time, I never looked back. In my heart, there was only one thought. I had to get away from her. I burst out of the warehouse, weaving desperately through the maze of alleys. I kept running until I was certain that behind me, I could no longer hear her footsteps. Only then did I stop, gasping for breath. By then, I was in tattered clothes, a complete wreck. My clothes were torn in several places. My face and arms were covered in scratches, but at least I was free for the moment. Yet that freedom brought no relief, only deeper exhaustion and fear. Just as I tried to catch my breath, I suddenly realized the atmosphere around me had turned strange. I instinctively looked back at a street corner not far away. Somehow, Xiaoxi had appeared again. Her eyes gleamed like a wolf's in the night, with a cold, vicious light. They were locked on me. "Moo, do you think you can escape?" Her voice was dark and low, like a vengeful spirit crawling out of the abyss. My whole body jolted. I turned and ran again. As I ran, I searched all around, desperately looking for somewhere else to hide. Every turn looked like a life-saving escape, yet seemed to conceal fresh danger. Her footsteps chased relentlessly behind me, like death drums, pounding against my chest, one beat after another. They kept me from stopping for even a second. Then suddenly, ahead of me stood an abandoned building. In my despair, that building seemed like my only sliver of hope. I had no time to think. I rushed inside. Inside the building, the air reeked of mold and decay. The walls were stained and peeling, with cobwebs and dust everywhere. The dim light made the place seem especially sinister. Xiaoxi followed me inside. As she moved through the hallway, she shouted my name, her voice echoing endlessly. Charged with manic obsession, she frantically threw open one door after another, leaving no corner unchecked. I curled up in a dark corner of the hallway, barely daring to breathe. My heart still hammered wildly in my chest.